For INSEAD Knowledge, I'm joined now by Mrs. Haifa Kaylani. She is the founder and indeed the leader of the Arab International Women's Forum. Now, let me begin, Haifa, by asking you to look back over indeed the last 10 years. It's a 10th anniversary, this meeting here in Syria, and how the changes you have observed in terms of roles of women in this region.
Certainly, as we are moving with our initiatives and building our programs, focusing on important issues for women in the region and their concern with the development of the region, their role in the development of the region, politically, economically, and socially, we are without a doubt facing and seeing and witnessing many positive and constructive and more than windows, I now call them really wider doors opening for women. Indeed, we used to call them windows when we started AIWF, which is almost 10 years ago. Really, I tell you now, they are wider doors. And you see that in the representations from government and the representations from business. You see that in the younger generation. You see that in women working in the private sector, women setting up their own businesses, the young professionals working in the multinational corporations with whom we work, an outstanding array. And that's all thanks, I think, to the education. Education was the one that gave first the door, that provided first the initial window that we said, windows of opportunity, because our governments, as we said in the past, have been investing in education for many years. That brought the initial crop that we witnessed 10 years ago coming into their own. Now the opening onto the world, the higher education, the more specialized education, the IT, the skills training, all that is taking us to the higher level, to the next level. And that is really what we are finding now. That's why I call it now, it's the doors opening and widening for women in the region.
Now, and as you go around the region, I've noticed you engage with ministers of state. You also engage, of course, with organizations, with heads of corporation, chief executives, indeed bringing all the stakeholders together. Is this absolutely vitally important that everybody is involved?
The only way this movement really can accomplish results on the ground is through these partnerships. We have been talking a lot about public-private partnerships. This is why we are always proud to have government support, and not only one government. And at our conferences, besides the host government, we always have many other representatives of public sector present, whether parliamentarians or government ministers or women engaged in other activities in government. But we also are very proud to bring together the private sector and our Arab private sector, multinational corporations with whom we cooperate, because at the end of the day, the challenges facing the Arab economies and the challenges of creating these 100 million jobs that we're talking about by 2020 are challenges that certainly no government can handle or group of governments can handle alone. They need the support of the private sector, whether it is locally grown or multinational. And also, I like to add the other partnerships that are extremely important with these two, public-private. It is the civil society and academia. You need the four, actually. There are four important, fundamental contributors to development to get an action that will really materialize and that you will see to see results on the ground. You need the support of the government, the private sector, you need educational establishments and institutions and providing the highest levels of education, but also with skills training. And then you need also a vibrant and dynamic civil society. You need to engage and allow the civil society to play its role. This is extremely important. And civil society organizations.
Now, you talk about the need for good education and indeed for higher education and more specialized education. And we've seen institutions like INSEAD come into the region and are now actually operating here in this region. So it saves people having to go out, learn abroad, whereby they can actually get these skills and these higher management qualifications right here in the region. How important is that?
It is absolutely essential. Education is not the education like we used to know it in the past. We want to have this advanced learning and education through learning about leadership, through learning how to run a new modern business in a modern economy, even whether it's a big business or a small business, entrepreneurship, how to set up your business. And we're not talking microcredit either. We are talking the level of SMEs that are really driving the engines of the economies of the United States and Europe. We want to see women being engaged in that. So you need all that skills, you need all that training, you need that information. And we in the Arab Internationalist Forum are always proud that we treat education as one of the highest priorities. Educational panel is always a part of any event that we do. And we work with some of the leading universities, both in the Arab region and internationally. And we're very proud that we always invite students to our conferences, and we offer them internships also. So we certainly believe in leadership, in role models, in mentoring, and we are also proud of the other level of being engaged with our global partners who are providing training and retaining of Arab women, because in that level we are being a bridge between them and between the crop of young women that they're looking for, whether they want women in the oil business or they want women lawyers or they want women accountants. We are proud to have partners in all these areas and much more, and we help to connect them because they really want to recruit, train and retain Arab women in the various sectors. And so that's extremely important in terms of finding the opportunities, because these corporations also provide training. But obviously, institutions of higher education, such as the INSEAD, teaching leadership skills when they come to the region is absolutely essential, and we don't have to travel for it. We can have it in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Amman, Cairo, Beirut, in the region.
And of course, this will help to make the qualified people here to truly international, because we're on the international stage now in the Middle East.
Absolutely. It's always been the center of the world, historically, and perhaps, and God willing, it will be the center of the world again, in a very vibrant, dynamic, positive, growing really, and contributing to the world economy and to the world stability.
Now tell me, what would you say are some of the necessary components of leadership?
I think you see them driven, hardworking, inspiring others, committed to succeed, they don't accept no for an answer, and are able to really implement the agenda that they set forth. This is, I think, a true sign of leadership.
And as we look at the younger generation, who indeed are going to be the leaders of tomorrow and the business people of tomorrow, how important is it that the skills people have now, that they can share and indeed can perhaps act as mentors for some of these young people coming up?
It is very important. This is why we are, as I said, we always invite students to all our conferences, because we want them to see the role models, we want them to learn from them, we want them to be inspired, we want them to set goals for themselves, having seen how others have gone before them. And at the same time also, it is very important for mentorship, that these women who have succeeded and have set up their own businesses, that they should avail themselves and go to speak at schools and speak at institutions of learning about their experience. So again, they can inspire, and they can perhaps take to their companies some of the younger women to mentor them. But if you remember, the study that was published by the World Bank a couple of years ago showed that Arab women, when they are setting up their own businesses, they're employing women, they are mentoring women, and they are being a good support for women. Not that they're biased against employing men, but they are also, while bringing them on to work with them in their very successful businesses, they are also mentoring them.
And over the last few years, as this group, the forum has developed, and we look at the vibrancy that is here today, I would imagine you're very optimistic about what's going on in this region, and indeed the role of women.
I think so. As I said in my speech earlier today, the movement for women forward is irreversible. We have accomplished a lot, much more still to come. There are still many challenges, but certainly the movement forward is irreversible. And our Arab leaders and our Arab communities realize that the only future for the region is a future based on equality of opportunity. for the men and the women in the region to play their rightful part in the family, of course, in the wider society, and in really in the running of our, in being actual real stakeholders in our communities and building together a better future for the region.
Mrs. Haifa Al-Kaylani, thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.